US President Donald Trump shows no sign of backing down from his aggressive tariff agenda. This time, long-standing trade tensions with Canada are resurfacing. Yet behind the public pressure lies a deeper story, one that centers not on politics, but power. Energy power. Despite the tough rhetoric, Trump's administration now suggests free trade with Canada is still possible. The shift in tone is raising questions. Why the sudden change? One possible reason: Canada's leverage in energy, especially uranium. Canada supplies a critical piece of America's nuclear energy infrastructure. The Cigar Lake mine in Saskatchewan, operated by Cameco, produces 11% of the world's uranium. Much of that uranium quietly enters the US fuel cycle. Tech giants like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are betting on nuclear energy to power their expanding AI data centers. But the US mines less than 1.5% of its uranium needs, while importing over 95%. Infrastructure for enrichment is still dominated by Russia and China. That makes Canada not just a supplier, but a strategic lifeline. And it doesn't end with uranium. Canada also provides oil, gas, electricity, and critical minerals like nickel and aluminum. Ontario alone has the world's most accessible reserves of high-grade nickel, vital for electric vehicles, defense systems, and AI servers. Trump's tariffs are meant to pressure, but in practice, they may have pushed Canada to diversify away from the US. In July 2025, Canada shipped its first liquefied natural gas, LNG, cargo to South Korea, bypassing US routes entirely. More projects, Cedar LNG and Woodfibre LNG, are in development, building new energy corridors to Asia. Canada is also supplying uranium to the European Union, with France's EDF signing long-term contracts to reduce EU dependence on Russia. As the US ramps up pressure, Canada's quiet realignment is giving it more leverage. While the US looks to Australia and others for uranium, those relationships are also under strain. Trade tensions and sanctions limit America's options. Canada now sits atop a short list of trusted energy allies, and it's using that position to protect its core exports. Beyond energy, Canada's trade shift includes oil and gas. Prime Minister Mark Carney recently confirmed plans for a cross-country pipeline connecting Alberta's oil fields to the Pacific, enabling Canada to bypass US refineries. This project, Canada's largest private investment, signals a major strategic shift. The LNG Canada terminal in British Columbia has shipped its first $40 billion cargo, with capacity expected to double. Canada is no longer just exporting energy to the US, it's entering the global market, especially in Asia, where 70% of global LNG demand now resides. A tanker from Canada's Pacific coast reaches Asia in half the time it takes from the US Gulf Coast. With faster delivery and rising demand, Canada is positioned to win, and to reshape trade dynamics with the US. As US tariffs rise, Canada is responding not with retaliation, but with long-term infrastructure and strategy. This is about more than economics. It's about leverage. Trump may promote new US LNG projects like the Alaska Pipeline, but they're years behind. Canadian gas will reach Asia first. These aren't empty threats. They're steel, concrete, and energy flows in motion. While US production hits record levels, moving that oil is another challenge. Pipeline capacity remains limited. If Canada cuts or diverts supply, US refiners, especially in the Midwest and Northeast, face higher costs, and consumers feel the impact through rising fuel prices. Canadian exports to non-US partners are increasing. Outreach in Europe, Singapore, and India is growing. At the same time, Canada's federal government is supporting key industries, autos, steel, and clean energy, with subsidies and investment guarantees to buffer the trade fallout. Trump's tariffs have spurred a Canadian strategy built not on confrontation, but quiet defiance. Prime Minister Carney's approach avoids the headlines. It's methodical, behind closed doors, focused on securing exemptions in vital sectors: steel, autos, aluminum, and energy. The goal isn't zero tariffs. A full rollback is unrealistic. But a compromise, a general 8 to 10% rate with carve-outs, remains possible. That outcome would shift the narrative from one-sided pressure to mutual protection of national interests. Trump's strategy is less negotiation, more declaration. His tariff letters are seen as final offers, not starting points. But this rigidity causes instability. Unpredictable deadlines, sudden shifts, and unclear messages frustrate even close allies. The economic damage is real. According to the San Francisco Federal Reserve, US GDP could shrink by 0.4% due to these tariffs. Inflation already climbed to 2.7% in June. And 45% of US imports are raw materials and components, so when tariffs rise, production costs do too. Meanwhile, Canada could see up to 2.1% GDP loss if the full 35% tariffs are implemented. Provinces like Ontario and Quebec would bear the brunt. But Canada is adapting, reorienting trade, supporting industries, and resisting pressure without fanfare. In this new world of economic brinkmanship, Canada may not just endure, but quietly shape the future of North American trade. This is True State Report. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.